Ring of Honor time. We got our inventor of the Lighthouse grading system, Coastal Crusader here. And partnered up with him is the one, the only, Infinite Indian Inspiration himself, Triple I. They're going to be covering the Ring of Honor segment of this show. Guys, take it away.
Yeah, before we begin, you say my name. You put some spice on that. Inspiration. Yeah, I want some spice on my name next time. Proceed, Coastal.
Hey, well, we all know that Triple I needs that curry on his name because it's in his blood. So, we start out with the very wonderful Quinn McKay talking about the current state of Ring of Honor and what's coming up today, and that next week she will be making her in-ring debut against Angelina Love.
I can't wait.
Beautiful people
I
of
can't
TNA.
wait. Can't wait.
It's gonna be so good. Eyes, what do you think of Quinn McKay making her debut?
Oh, I'm getting all giggly because Quinn McKay.
I think we all are.
Oh my God, she's as a backstage announcer. She's got the innocent next door schoolgirl look, and you think she's so innocent. You think nothing. You don't think of her as aggressive fighter at all. And now we're going to see a whole different side of her. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most, Coastal, because there's a mystery in this. We've never seen her before in the ring. We're used to seeing one side of her. Now we're going to see another side of her. I'm assuming there's going to be a more aggressive and polar opposite side than what we're used to.
Oh, no, I agree, and I'm interested to see what Quinn can bring to the ring. I'm sure she's going to be well prepared, but let's not forget Angelina Love is a former TNA Knockouts champion, member of the Beautiful People, ready to go. Who knows what she has up her sleeve? She's a veteran, so I'm sure it's not going to be 100% all straight and narrow we're going to see next week. But moving on to the opening match of this, which honestly, in my opinion, was my match of the night. The opening match of this, which was Bandito and Flamita. It's coming from a few weeks ago. They had the triple threat match. It was actually back at the 19th anniversary show. They had that big triple threat match. They weren't vibing still. They were former partners. And this match was everything you want to see in a high-flying lucha wrestling match, mixed in with some real good technical wrestling and some stiffness. It had everything, something to suit everybody. Bandito is a star in the making, and Flamita is not far behind him. These two guys, unfortunately, they would be wasted in something like WWE or something like that. These guys would excel, where they are in Ring of Honor, obviously, but even in an AEW aspect like a Dark or an Elevation or even New Japan. And I'm sure they've been over there before with the Ring of Honor connections, but this match was great. Bandito kicks out of a 450 splash by Flamita at one point. This is after Bandito has worked the leg relentlessly. It was one of the technical parts of the match where he really isolated him. There's a whole lot of spots in this match, so many to talk about. There was a muscle buster that was reversed into a knee bar at one point by Bandito, which is crazy. You look at that move. Samoa Joe uses that move. Sorry. It was reversed into a knee bar, which is crazy. It's a big super kick near the end of the match by Flamita that you would think would end the match, and it doesn't. So let's talk about the end. Not my cup of tea. I understand, I guess, Flamita going full heel after a ref bump, using a low blow to get the win over Bandito. As I said, I didn't take anything off this match. It was a great match. I gave it 4 lighthouses. I really liked it, even with the ending, I guess. Eyes, what'd you think?
So, if you've never watched Ring of Honor before, you watch this match and you're going to be hooked. Okay. In addition to that, you don't have to just be a fan of lucha libre wrestling. this encompassed various styles of wrestling. Okay, lucha libre, technical wrestling, and and heavy hitting aggressive wrestling. That's what made the match so great. Okay, so that's why this was such a spectacular match, minus the ending, which I'll get to in a second. So great opening sequence, quick action, as you would expect by these two, obviously. Great suicide dive by Flamita. Flamita was very aggressive in the beginning. Okay, very aggressive with the running kick to the corner. That was right out of the gate, so you knew it was gonna, he was holding nothing back. There was a beautiful corkscrew, and then with the corkscrew assault off the top, it was like 4 rotations, I believe. Mm-hmm. That's not easy to do. It was a 4 rotation corkscrew off of the top by Bandito. If this wasn't COVID and the crowd was there, they would be chanting, "This is awesome," 2 minutes into the match.
Yes.
Okay. Without a doubt. And then we saw some unorthodox stuff. There was, I forget who it was, but I think Bandito attacked Flamita with the broom. So
yes, yep.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, different. All right, cool. Bandito was also targeting the right knee a lot of Flamita, so it was also some smart wrestling there as well, because it's smart because it stops the high flying ability of Flamita. Okay. The fighting on top of the barricade outside. There was a cool spot with a Hurricane Runner off of the barricade by Bandito. Spectacular spot there. And then he followed it up with a crucifix bomb as well. I love crucifix bombs. It's a devastating move right into a pinfall. All right. We talked about the 450 already, so I won't go over that. A lot of back and forth, and I thought the match was 50-50. It could have gone either way at that point, despite the knee of Flamita being hurt and the arm of Bandito being hurt. They were still going at it back and forth. At one point, there was a a chop fest, but there was a slap fest as well. Mm-hmm. Dude, ready for this? Ready? That was stiff.
It was.
You like that.
That box.
Yep. So you had that. Right after that, there was an exchange of super kicks, and then there was exchange of super kicks. There was a cutter by Bandito, and then Flamita, even though Flamita just had the cutter put on him, he popped right back up and gave Bandito a super kick right back. What an effing match right now. Holy shit chant should be going on right now.
Oh,
well, this is awesome. They should,
yeah.
And on a side note, they should add another chant. Not "this is awesome" all the time. They should do "this is crazy," stuff like that. There's also so with that being said, there was an insane Hurricane Rana by Bandito into the pin. It's Rey Mysterio-esque, essentially, and I thought that was it.
Yeah.
I thought that was the match because no one ever kicks out of those. But Flamita did. This is where the end of the match comes. A low blow by Flamita, and then Flamita ends it, and that's it. Flamita wins it. I get why they did it. A full-fledged heel, and you need to get over as a heel. There's other ways to do that. Here's my alternative ending. 30 seconds here is that have Bandito win the match in a very competitive match you just saw. They embrace afterwards, and then after the match, Flamita low blows him. Just do that. What's wrong with that? It's still the low blow. You still get your point across, and the match didn't have a cheap finish. What's wrong with that? That's what Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho did at WrestleMania 19. Okay, take a page out of their notebook if you have to. That they could have done that. That ending did not need to happen. But just because it had a lousy ending, that cannot, and I refuse to let it negate this spectacular match that they had. All right, so we can't lose sight of that. 4.5 lighthouses for me. If it wasn't for that ending, maybe a potential 5, maybe. But 4.5. It was that great of a match, honestly. That great of a match.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. Awesome match. And who knows what the future holds for Bandito. I think you could definitely see him challenging for a title in the future, in a singles title. I think he's a great performer, and I think the future's bright for him, especially. And Flamita's not far behind. I do give the edge to Bandito a little bit in the futures department, just because of he seems more well-rounded and polished to me.
Yeah, polished. Yep, that's my word.
So the next matchup we had was a tag team match. We had the Beer City Bruiser and Mr. Dixon, who, as we saw last week in the highlight package, had turned on Mr. Matt Taven on the other side of this tag match and hit it with a beer bottle to join, or not to join. Who knows what the Bruiser's doing? He's just looking for violence at this point. But we had those two versus OGK. And we had Mr. Beer City Bruiser's old tag team partner on commentary for this match. Eyes, I'll let you open with this one. What did you think?
Well, in the beginning, I was entertained because Taven said Beer City butthole, and I giggled. So I get a little funny off of that. So I always laugh. No, this is my commentary. It's my opinion. I am subject to my opinion without those stupid sound effects. No. Give me a Slim Jim, snap it in half, put it in my mouth, and make me happy and call me pretty. Oh, yeah. That one's okay. The other one, no.
Continue.
With that being said, it was typical action in the beginning. Dixon started off the match for his team. Typical action in the beginning with that. Bennett and Taven teeing off in Dixon, essentially, going back and forth. Dixon essentially had no offense in the beginning. And I think at one point, also on a side note, Taven had tripped, but the commentators were able to cover that up nicely by that. At that point, when Taven tripped, it allowed for Dixon to tag in the Beer City Bruiser. The reason why I mentioned the trip, not to call out a wrestler, I mentioned the trip by Taven, whether it was accidental or not, because that was the turning point for Dixon to finally, get out of the ring. Dixon is a big, scary guy who can inflict a lot of pain. And in this match, in the beginning, and as you saw, Corso, Dixon mounted no offense whatsoever. Okay, and if I'm a Beer City Bruiser and I'm going with a different tag partner, and my tag partner is the size of someone like Ken Dixon, and you're doing absolutely nothing, it doesn't make yourself look good. Okay, so it took for a trip for him to tag in his partner. Anyways, let's move on. With that being said, Beer City Bruiser's in. And it's still a bunch of offense by Taven and by Bennett. At one point, there was a Spicoli driver by Bennett, and then tag into Taven, and then a more flurry of offense going back and forth. I just want to say the aggressiveness by Taven and Bennett was turned up to a 10. Okay. It was turned up to a 10 on two huge, big-ass guys, okay? There was, at one point, there was a sunset flip by Taven onto Beer City Bruiser. This is scary. This is real now. Beer City Bruiser, he's trying not to fall into the pin. He squats down. He almost broke Taven's neck. For real, because Taven did not get out in time. He did, wow. but he barely made it out in time. Like, it was very scary, and the commentators made note of that as well. Don't see it; you'll cringe if you see it. Whew, and he didn't, So with that being said, after that, the Beer City Bruiser attempted a pump handle slam to Taven. It was rather sloppy. And that was scary as well. Nearly landed on his head. Eventually tagged to Dixon. Beer City Bruiser gets out of there, tags to Dixon. There was a power slam. I think there was a power slam by Dixon, and then he tagged out again. He tagged out back to Beer City Bruiser. And I'm like, what are you doing? you have one of the best tag teams in there. Take that back. You have two of the best wrestlers in the world in there as a tag team. You're finally mounting some offense on them, and then you just tag out. You know, what are you doing? With that being said, there was a super kick into a stunner for the win, because that was the end of it right there. There was a super kick into the stunner for the win, and OGK won the match. As far as the match goes, at the end, Taven gets his revenge by hitting a bottle on BSD Bruiser's head, obviously. And then Brian Malonis, that's BSD Bruiser's tag team partner, Malonis comes in, helps him up, and then he attacks Dixon, and the Bouncers reunite. With that being said, this is hard for me because the amount of talent in there between Taven and Bennett is unparalleled, really. And, you know, the Bouncers are a really pretty good tag team as well. I felt Dixon, this is going to sound harsh, Coastal, I felt like Dixon caused an injustice to the match in a way. I mean, in a way. Not, that's what I say, in a way.
I understand.
Right. It just, I don't know, you got two big-ass dudes, and you mounted essentially no offense. I didn't feel like there was a flow, really, as well. You have to have a flow. I don't care if it's good, bad, or indifferent. Have a flow some way, somehow, okay? And it was just Bennett and Taven just kicking the crap out of them and winning the match, rightfully so. I feel like Dixon just needs to go. Dude, he has an intimidating presence. He could be. He's someone you don't. He's someone not to be messed with, if presented properly. Okay, I'd give it 3 lighthouses at the most.
No, I understand completely. I gave it 3.5, and the reason I said that is because I took the match for what it was up until the end. Dixon looked it made sense for the most part, and what I really liked about this, and I disagree with a little bit of this, is the whole match made a lot of sense in the story it told. Taven was out for revenge. He wanted it to come back and him to extract and hit that beer bottle. He wanted to make the Beer City Bruisers suffer. And I think you're right a little bit, though. I think maybe not Dixon so much turning, but I think we might have been better off seeing the actual Bouncers in this match rather than Dixon. Because the reason I say that is the end, after we have this great story being told about Taven getting his revenge, and, you know, how good is Mike Bennett? God, he makes everything look easy in that ring, and he was a standout in this match again. But at the end of the match, after we have everything that Triple I discussed and how good it was as a tag match, we see, you know, the Bouncers reunite, and I don't get what Dixon's whole point of this whole thing was. Do you guys? Like, what was his whole thing? Dropping out of the dojo, and then this, and then now nothing?
Unless this is planting a seed for something in the future. But if this is planting a seed, the seed's going to drown because it wasn't planted properly.
I mean, unless it sets up him and Bruiser as a feud, and they're done with the Taven thing. That's the only thing I can think of, is you get Dixon and Bruiser.
Yeah, I get that Taven. This is where I agree with you. So I'll disagree with you for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Taven's getting his revenge. I get it. That's why they're aggressive. That's why they're dominating the match. Why don't you do this then? Have the match, or attempt to start the match within the 2 minutes of it. Have Taven just disobey the referee's orders essentially, and just start kicking the shit out of Dixon and BCB and cause a disqualification. Okay, and it sets up for like maybe a street fight in a few weeks or whatever, or something, you know?
I think that's hard to do in Ring of Honor with the Code of Honor and all that stuff. I think they're less loose with the amount of things they can do to break or bend those rules.
But if you're smashing a beer bottle over someone's head, you've already crossed that line.
Yeah, but that's Beer City's thing. He has no honor. You know, Taven's a former Ring of Honor champion. You know, he has a little bit higher of a code to uphold than Three Teeth Beer City Bruiser.
That's true, but if someone's going to take Taven across that line, then Taven's going to go there with them.
That's true. No, I understand that too. So we'll have to see what the future holds if it's done or not. But main event time here.
Yep.
We had a television title championship match here in ROH. We had Tony Deppen of the newly formed Violence Unlimited versus Tracy Williams, the current ROH television champion and member of the Foundation. And, I'll spoil the ending here real quick. We have a new ROH TV champion. And we got some gold going over to Tony Deppen and Violence Unlimited. I thought this match was incredibly good. When you think TV title matches, I think sometimes we're thinking mid-card or anything not main event, but this one held up that end of the bargain. This was an incredible match. I really, really liked it. I gave it 4.25 lighthouses, and the reason I really liked it was this match I felt for a ROH television title match could honestly have been a pure wrestling championship match as well. You didn't see too much of the way of shenanigans in this match. It was very well done. It was hard hitting. It was good, crisp work between both guys. I just thought that this was really, really good. And I did not expect Tony Deppen to come out with that win. I just thought it was a great way to advance this story and a great way to get Violence Unlimited off the ground and running. And I'm a big fan of Tony Deppen. Seeing him for the first time now, I want to go back and see what he's done in the past. I can't wait to see what he's done in the future. Eyes, what you think?
So I'll add my 2 cents here as well. Let's start off by I agree with you with everything that you just said. We do have a new champion, obviously, and it was good because right away it adds instant credibility to Violence Unlimited. Not that they needed it, since their name is Violence Unlimited, but it makes them
Brody
that much.
King.
Yeah, which is it's one scary dude. But it makes them that much more credible with the belts and everything. Let's start from the beginning here. It was a good beginning of the match. Great mat wrestling. You said it could have been a pure wrestling match. That's so true. Look at the first few minutes of this match. It was mat wrestling at its finest. And then, Tracy Williams was just targeting Tony's shoulder, just nonstop, and smart wrestling as well. That goes with the mat wrestling I was just saying. Dude, the chops by Tracy on Deppen, I thought he was going to have
His
heart
chest should have been
palpitations.
hamburger meat. It should look like Daniel Bryan's chest of the greatest Royal Rumble.
Exactly. Those chops by Tracy just annihilated Deppen, and oh my God. So it was a combo. The point I'm getting at here, Coastal, and everyone else out there, is that this is a combination of a hard-hitting match along with technical mat wrestling as well. You mix those two, and you have that's the formula for a beautiful wrestling match. Okay, throughout the match, they went back and forth. There was a great suicide dive by Deppen. Also, on the outside of the ring, or on top of the top turnbuckle, there was a DDT into the top turnbuckle by Tracy Williams. I've never seen that before, so I thought that was relatively innovative.
Yeah.
That was sick. Good. In addition to that, there was a great Spokuli driver by Tracy as well. And then to make it the trifecta, there was a one-arm chicken wing. Oh, excuse me. Let me take that back. So after the Spokuli driver by Tracy, Deppen eventually comes back and puts Tracy in a one-arm chicken wing. So rather unique with that by Deppen. And then thank God for the rope break as well, because if this was a pure wrestling match, I don't know. I don't know if the match would have continued at that point. Because I legit thought he was going to tap. That's how. Oh God, that's how believable that move was. That's how painful that submission hold looked. Excuse me. Right after that, there was a power driver by Tracy Williams. And in all wrestling, since the power driver isn't used that much, if I see a power driver or a tombstone power driver, either way, to me, I think the match is over. Even if it's not your finishing move, I think the match is over 9 times out of 10.
It's almost so protected at this point because of the injuries that have happened that when you see it, you're like, "Ooh, that's supposed to be a big spot."
Right, exactly. So I thought that was it, but believe it, and you're right, it is protected, and I'm glad it's still protected. Actually, it's not overused. Mm-hmm. With that being said, with the way the camera angle was and the way I was viewing the match, I knew that wasn't going to be it, though. Even though I thought it was, I knew it wasn't going to be it because of the positioning near the ropes. It was the way after the move was performed. They're near the ropes, and you knew a rope break was going to happen. It did. At the ending of the match, Tracy Williams goes for a lariat, and Tony Deppen reverses a attempted hard-hitting lariat into some type of cradle pin, and that's how he wins. All right, it was a reversal of a devastating move into this cradle pin, wins the championship right there. And then Violence Unlimited comes out and celebrates with them. And Tracy Williams looks so pissed off at the world because he can't believe he just made that mistake. It was a clean ending too.
It was so good. It was a great way to end a good match.
Yeah, great match, phenomenal match. I wish it went a little bit longer. I'd give it 4 1/4 Lighthouses. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, but this episode of Ring of Honor, I think, was better than the 500th episode, and I think that it's the best episode of Ring of Honor we've seen since we started covering this. I mean, minus not having I Know Who Is Your Spirit Animal Dalton Castle in this episode, it is the best episode of Ring of Honor we've seen so far.
This is the 3rd week that we've covered Ring of Honor, everyone. And as Coastal just said, this is the 3rd week of doing Ring of Honor, including the 500th episode, which had a pure wrestling match between Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham, two of the best in the business. And the fact that the two of us are in agreement that this is the best episode so far, that's very telling in itself. Go and watch it. Stop being lazy. Stop being a Brussels sprout. Do something productive in your life for once. Truth hurts.
All right. Anything coming up for next week's episode of Ring of Honor that you want to enlighten people about besides the Quinn McKay and Angelina Love?
Not really. That's kind of what they
guess.
focused on here in the beginning. I know we're probably going to hear more from OGK. They're really looking at going after those tag title belts. And then, of course, Violence Unlimited has gold now. They're going to be looking for more. What do you think, guys?
They didn't advertise anything besides Quinn McKay versus Angelina Love. I will say this: a few things, that I'm looking forward to, which I hope happens, which would make sense. Coastal, is there's going to be some type of interaction between Violence Unlimited and the Foundation. You have a lot of combustible elements there. There's gold in both factions. There's 8 people involved. There's going to be some type of feuding back and forth between that, which is going to be great. Okay, expect that.
But don't forget about LFI too.
Mm-hmm.
Because don't forget, Dragon Lee was the television champion, and he didn't even get a chance to defend his title due to injury, and gave it to Kenny King to defend, and he lost it. So
True story.
LFI still has a stake in at least one, if not 2, titles in this whole rotation, and they also have the Ring of Honor champion Roosh.
Yep.
So
I'm making a prediction in the whole Foundation v Violence Unlimited war that I think we see coming. I am saying that Jay Lethal is going to turn on the Foundation.
Think so?
Yes. That's my prediction.
Did you guys catch any of the Ring of Honor women's wrestling on Wednesdays?
Have not yet. No.
No, I have not, unfortunately.
It's on every Wednesday. Every Wednesday night, I do believe. And I think that's when the Quinn McKay Angelina Love match is probably going to take place.
Well, they said that it was going to be on next week's episode.
Yeah, it's going to be on next week.
Okay, yeah, there are women coming up through the ranks of Ring of Honor, and I guess they're showcasing them on Wednesdays on the Honor Club, I believe, and I think Fight.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but That's what I saw via advertisement last week.
Sure.
Well, my apologies. Unaware of that.
No, it's all right.
I think, nothing against women. I think they put on some incredible matches themselves as well. No doubt about that. No questions about that.
No matter what happens, too. They got some talent.
Yeah.
They got some talent.
No matter what happens, I just want to see Dalton Castle. Please give me more Dalton Castle.
Of course you want to see Dalton Castle. It just makes sense with you.
I want to see Dalton Castle. I want to see more. I just want to see more of him. We all have our favorites. We all have our preferences.
Listen, I wasn't able to talk about this last week, but in last week's episode, when he came out and he in the middle of that match that went to the time limit, and he came out, I'm just thinking the whole time, like, this is what Triple I wants to do. This is him. This is what he wants to be.
I honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I saw that episode last week, I was right there with you, because that is like Triple I's persona, just in the form of Dalton Castle. It really is.
Oh, well, thanks, guys. Actually, to be compared to Dalton Castle, you can't go wrong with that.